I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome everyone. This is our second, I guess we'd call it biannual, we call it our calf run. We just look for an opportunity to bring ranchers together, not only see our operations, but I'd like you to hear from people on our team and in our company. But then we're also honored to have someone from Tyson here tonight. So, a hearty welcome. I know many of you are calf suppliers, some for a few years and some for 30 plus years. Brady Reinhardt's been doing it so long, he said he don't remember how many years he's sold us his calves. Those of you who haven't sold us calves, we hope that you'll become our calf suppliers, because we're growing operations and we're in pursuit of more calves, and as you'll hear throughout the program, we like to feed limousine cross calves. So why do we do what we do? I think if we had to make a list, it'd be pretty long on why we ranch, but most of us in the room here are stewards of resources that God has entrusted us with to help produce food for the world, right? And I don't know about you, but I've always felt honored to, as long as I'm in the food production business, that it's beef. What my dad used to say was not only good, but good for you. You know, and the other thing we're very thankful for, as I'm sure many of you are, that we get to do it in the land of America. Some numbers I heard a couple years ago that I think tells our story that we all can be pretty proud of is America has 7% of the world's cattle and raises 20% of the world's beef. On world standards, that's a pretty efficient system. Inside our country, we're pretty segmented. We've been an industry that's been pretty segmented. It's not all bad. I mean, it's had its upside. But I think as we can develop relationships, work together, we'll never probably be as integrated as pork and poultry and ownership, but we can integrate with relationships and share information back and forth. So I think just being able to trust each other, you know, there's a lot of efficiency gained in trust and business deals and caring about each other. I'll share a little story with you, and many of you ranchers that have been supplying us with calves can relate to this. But a couple weeks ago, Nate and I were down at the Tyson corporate office, and we go down there and we usually get to meet Bob Schur, who's with us tonight, and Brad Brandenburg, who head up their supply chain arrangements. But they usually take us upstairs. We get to go up and meet a lot of the guys in the corporate office, John Gerber, who heads up procurement. We get to meet the risk manager and some of the meat sales guys, and even Steve Stouffer, who oversees all beef operations. But the guys ask us, so why are you here? I suppose you're going to try and get more money out of Brad and Bob, huh? We said, well, you know, we can't lie, right? So we'll always take a little more money. But we're really interested in how our cattle are working for you and what your report is, what our report is with you guys, you know, and what do we need to do to make it better. Bob and Brad told us about 3 hours later after meeting over several glasses of iced tea that how unique that was, that we actually cared how the product we're sending them works. But I think that's the same relationship that we've developed with most of you ranchers out here. I think nearly every one of you that sold us calves comes back and says, how did my calves do? How was the health? And we're happy. How did they feed? How did they perform? We're happy to share that information, because if we can get better, it's win-win for all of us. A little bit about where we've come from. We've been a cattle feeding company for nearly a half a century now. We've been raising limousine for 40 years. We grew over the years, we grew that cattle feeding business up until 2012 to about 25,000 head of fed cattle marketings. With our expansion into Nebraska in 2012, we've upped that to this year. We're going to market right at 45,000. Next year, we should market close to 50,000, if not more. And Lord willing, we hope to keep growing that number. Of those numbers, about 80% of them are Limousin cross cattle. Some are mostly our genetics, some out of other Limousin breeders' calves. We prefer Limousin Angus cross cattle is the type of beef cattle that we like to buy. And you'll hear that from some of the other speakers too. We would like to get that number to 100%, and we would like to plus keep growing our numbers. So I guess the message, one message I would like to send today is, if you are supplying us with calves, whether it's 100 or 200 or 1,000 or 5,000, there's room to expand, and we're still interested in your calves. For those of you who aren't on the program, we hope we can get you on the program. We got a slate of speakers here, most of them with a company. We got Travis Edil from IMI, Bob Scher from Tyson, Lucas, Nate, and Casey then from Wulf Cattle. We'll each make a few comments, talk to you, and then jot your questions down, and would like to open it to questions for a bit of question and answer period. So next up is a young man that I met back in 2007. His wife, Hannah, and Lucas met me at the Perkins in Aberdeen. We had supper together. I told him we had just leased a 4,000 head feed yard in Chamberlain, South Dakota, and I needed someone to run it. He was up to the challenge, and a couple weeks later we had him down in Chamberlain. I didn't have him long there, and I saw he was up to bigger and better things and could handle a lot more on his plate. In 2010, we moved him up here to McLaughlin. He was overseeing a 12,000 head yard, and now he oversees all South Dakota operations. So him, like many others on the Wulf Cattle team, I'm very thankful for the team I got around me. I got a good, strong team and a good young team. They've taught me a lot, and I'm going to let Lucas talk to you all.
Thanks, Jerry. As he mentioned, I'm Lucas Sutherland. Welcome to Wulf Cattle Depot here in McLaughlin, South Dakota. Been here since end of 2010, beginning of 2011, when we purchased the feedlot. I originate over by Selby, South Dakota. For those of you who are familiar, about an hour and a half away from here. The depot here is 12,000 head feedlot. We've done a few little small expansions with where the location of the sale barn was, and utilizing a little more space here and there. Primarily, we'll start 6,000 to 8,000 balling calves in the fall. And then we'll background those, and about December, January, right in there, we'll start sorting. As you did the tour, you probably talked with Mike a little bit, Mike Wulf, on sorting facility, but we'll size the calves for grass and for going up on feed, and some of them just backgrounding. The backgrounded calves, they'll stay in here on about a 1.5 pound grower to 2 pounds through the winter. The grass calves, then they'll be on about a 1.25 pound grower, and then they'll go out to our stocker ranches here, Golden Hills just west of McLaughlin, or Cheyenne Station down at Rapid City, South Dakota. Each of those ranches will host about 4,000 to 5,000 yearlings each summer. Some of the cattle that stick around and go up on finishers, those of you that have drove through the feedlot out in the far alleys just east here, those you'll see, some of those will be ready to ship in a month, and others will be a few months. I was going to speak on vaccinations tonight, a little bit coming into the fall on preconditioning shots. We've had a lot of conversations this year, probably more than we ever have. As those of you that are ranch suppliers for us, we sent out health scorecards before the bull sale, and some of them were pleasing and others were, maybe you'd call them less than pleasing. We want to utilize it as a tool going forward, not as a derogatory thing, but we'd sure like to work with you and talk about vaccination programs, and we like to improve and work together. Preconditioning, what we'd like to see is them to have like a modified live 5-way pastorella, a Haemophilus, and then also it'd be nice to have a 7-way in there 3 to 4 weeks prior to delivery. What that does, it gives the calf time to respond to the vaccine, and then when we get them in at the feedlot, when we give them the vaccination upon arrival, then it's a nice time frame for a good booster effect to the vaccine in hopes to keep the calves healthy, that they'll do well for the year. One other thing that we've really been paying attention to here in the last year and a half is mineral programs that everybody's on. There's the vaccinations, but then there's also the mineral programs that go with it. We've seen it time and time again. If we've had issues and we've worked with the rancher, some of it has boiled down to just the mineral program. Maybe it's feeding a little more mineral or a different mineral. I encourage you guys to talk with whoever your feed dealer is and make sure that you got a good mineral program suited for your area. Not every area is the same. As we found, the feed suppliers, they usually have a pretty good idea of the minerals that are best utilized in that area. As we get closer to receiving and taking delivery on calves, one thing that I think it's been out there, but low stress handling is something that we've been focusing on at Wulf Cattle. You've probably seen the Be Kind signs. We've implemented a program for low stress handling and making sure that everything happens in a humane manner, and all the animals are treated, with as low stress as possible. We all know that in stressful environments, the immune systems don't respond near as well as they would if the cattle can go kind of at their pace. So as you get ready to round up and deliver calves, we'd ask you to take a little time if you need to as far as rounding up, but try to do it low stress, and I think we'll see positive results. And then also on the day of delivery, we can't always control Mother Nature. So if we run into a weather event, talk with us and see maybe we can reschedule or something, because the weather that we seen this last fall, we probably don't want to see it again, but we know we don't have control over it. But if we can time around things like the October storm, the cold rain, it was tough on some of the calves we had in, but that's what we got. So we really appreciate working with everybody. And we hope to keep building more relationships and buying more feed from everybody. Thank you.